Okay, good morning. This video is for all my my very picky students here who like to have a very clean interface and are easily distracted by unnecessary visual elements. So we're going to talk about pre-composing. I've got a 14 layer document here, and some of these bits and pieces of my animation, they can kind of almost be standalone animations. For example, the banner itself is a pretty cool little thing, right? Like, I don't know, I like that. So what if I wanted to use this animation in like another project somewhere, um, and I didn't want to have to rebuild all this stuff? One easy way to do that is to make a composition of just these elements, these text elements. It's also going to have the effect of basically kind of flattening some of the layers here. So we're not looking at so much stuff, and if you want to reuse some of this later, you can. So that's why you'd want to pre-compose. So we're I'm going to take all the elements, all the layers that are used in this banner animation here in the beginning, and we're going to kind of flatten them by pre-composing. So let's do it. I believe, Corona del Mar, that's the first thing. I have this banner layer. That's, I think, the rectangle, the back ribbon, the left back ribbon, the right furl, and left furl. Okay, so this all the elements in that little ribbon animation. To make the pre-comp, you simply select them like I just did by holding on the Shift key, right click, and choose Pre-Compose. I'm going to call this CDM banner. And by default, it's going to choose this option here. I'm not even going to bother explaining this because for right now, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to click OK. But yeah, the default move all attributes into the new comp. I think it's only going to allow you to choose this. Click OK. But I do recommend renaming. Whoa, look at my timeline. Awesome. Now I have my CDM banner just as one layer here. And it's cool because I can click on, like, say, this little solo button. So it will just show me that. Yeah. Let's keep going, shall we? I'm going to unsolo this layer. And I even now have the added benefit of I can shrink my timeline window down by clicking and dragging on that little line, which I talked about in the last video. And if you look here in your project panel, somewhere in here is going to be a composition called CDM banner. If I wanted to make changes to this part of the composition, I could by double clicking on it. And then here are all my layers. So I could come in here and like change the text if I wanted to. Yeah, totally up to you. But it's really nice because I could take this composition and use it in another project. So let's go back to my whole thing comp. That's what I was working on previously. So there's my CDM banner comp. Now we're going to create a pre-comp out of, let's do the Sea Kings fly-in. The Sea Kings fly-in is actually kind of a complicated animation. I have two items of text here that fly in. And then in the timeline, you'll notice that all of a sudden here, at this point, my Sea Kings text layers stop. And here is where let's see, where is it? Sea ramp and King's ramp. What I mean by ramp is you'll notice there's a gradient that kind of fills this. You're not able to do this with just text, so at some point I had to turn these into shapes and split up my tracks, etc., etc. But basically, all you need to know is the Sea Kings animation of those two words, Sea Kings, is built up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers, right? So now I'm going to make the pre-comp out of this. So I'll right-click, choose Pre-Compose. I'm going to call this Sea King Fly In, and then hit OK. And to be totally honest, I don't know what this shape layer is. So let's solo it to see if it will show us what it is. So I'm soloing it, so it's only showing me the shape layer. And I'm kind of thinking that, yeah, it doesn't really do anything. So let's delete it. So now in my beautiful Sea King mascot loading animation, I only have 3 layers I have to deal with. So yeah, nice and clean. And then to kind of show you the benefit of all this, and I didn't explain this, but I already had this, the king, the guy himself, I already turned into a pre-composition earlier. But now I'm going to make a new comp. We'll use all the same settings. And now let's say I wanted to build something different. I can just drag this pre-comp into my timeline, and you'll notice somewhere in here, there it is. So now I can move this around and use this element in something else. So very cool. Same thing goes, I'm going to delete this layer. Same thing goes for, I think, whole king fixed was my last thing here. And you drag it in. So you notice when you drag it in, it's going to use the same timing. So my whole king fixed didn't come in until after my text flew in, so that's why you don't see anything at first. But there it is. So this little composition is just like its own animation in and of itself. So yeah, that's how you pre-compose. Enjoy.